Poker Genius with Dr. Stephen Simpson.
Hi, my name's Dr. Stephen Simpson and welcome to Poker Genius. It's a podcast series for anybody who is interested in the game of poker and tired of losing their money all the time. Whilst I work with professional poker players, there's also an awful lot of very keen amateurs out there. So really, the audience that I'm aiming at is very much anybody who has a love of the game, irrespective of how good or not they might be at the moment. In this first episode, I'm going to paint the background to how I got involved, and particularly to talk about the client that I started working with in 2014, world champion Chris Moorman, and we still work together, and both of us are still learning. I have his permission to share some of the stuff because some of the things that I'll be talking about I put into my book called Poker Genius. Before I start that, I'm just going to read a short quote from Paul McKenna. He is a best-selling author and also a guru and a hypnotherapist and somebody who I've got to know and trained with. His latest book is a blockbuster, as all of his books are, and it's called Positivity, Confidence, Resilience and Motivation. And he interviewed me for one of his chapters, or part of one of his chapters, and this is what he wrote. So this is Paul's words. My friend Dr. Stephen Simpson has made a remarkable study of intuition. This comes from his work with some of the world's leading poker players. When he works with them, on average, their winnings increase tenfold. Poker's a game of statistics, but it's also the ability to read the other players, then make a decision based on lots of different pieces of information to win. More generally in life, we have a massive amount of information from our sensory awareness, pictures, sounds, smells, etc. Our mind collates this and offers us an opportunity to make a decision in the form of a gut instinct or intuition. This is historically a survival mechanism that would alert us through an instinctive feeling about danger and would also drive us towards opportunity. However, since human beings have learnt to speak, they've to some extent learned to ignore this and to also let the ego get in the way, because the ego's purpose is to look good and be right. However, as Dr. Simpson suggests, when we get quiet and free ourselves of distractions such as our mobile phones and the internet and tune into what our intuition is telling us, we will be right most of the time. Just as he's able to help leading poker players increase their earnings by making good intuitive decisions, you will find that you can do the same in life generally. Well, I don't think Paul plays poker, but he certainly knows a bit about the game. And certainly when he talks about intuition, that's a huge part of what I work with my clients, the poker players, about connecting to the intuition. We all have intuition, but it's easy to lose it. It's easy for other stuff to crowd it out. Now, the next words are from Chris Moorman. He's a great guy. He deserves all the success that he's got. He's the world champion online player, and I've just checked the figures, and he's earned over $19.5 million at the moment. Until he started working with me, he hadn't actually won a live event, but he's won several since at the World Series and other places, and these earnings are something more than $6 million as well. So let's see what Chris has to say. My journey with Stephen started in January 2014. I had heard of mind coaches, but to be honest, I was skeptical about how much help they could give to a player like me, or anyone else for that matter. However, I had no doubts I wanted more success and was prepared to try anything to give me that extra edge. Like many people, I believe the new year is a time to reflect upon the past and dream of the future. I had a lot to be happy about back then. As a professional poker player, I was doing the job I loved, and I was definitely living the dream. What could be better than traveling to exotic locations and playing poker with my best friends? The problem was that 2013 had been my toughest time in poker. Prior to the World Series of Poker, known as the WSOP, in 2013, I had been forced to get out of backing because I had overextended myself and had made a lot of bad decisions along the way. My poker bankroll had taken a big hit, and I'd been forced to drop down in stakes and concentrate predominantly on online poker until I was in a better situation. I decided that once I did get in a better place, I would allow myself the luxury of travelling the live circuit again. But this plan did not go as well as I'd hoped. As I became more focused on how much I was winning, rather than just playing every hand as optimally as I could, I found I quickly became overly negative. I didn't like the person I was becoming, and decided the problem was serious enough that I would talk to someone about it. But who was the best person to reach out to? A friend of mine suggested Stephen Simpson, a doctor and mind coach from the United Kingdom. He had been working with Liv Bory, and whether it was coincidental or not, her form had been transformed. To cut a long story short, Stephen and I spoke on the phone a couple of times and agreed to meet. The problem was that both of our diaries were very full, and unless we met in February, the next opportunity would be several months away. So we met for the first time in Vancouver and discussed a ton of stuff I'd never told anyone about before. In these sessions, we did some basic meditation and breathing exercises, and I talked about what I wanted to achieve in life, both inside and outside of poker. Stephen mentioned I needed to find the zone while playing, and if I could do that, then good things would happen for me. The key to finding the zone was to be solely focused on poker while playing, but it was equally important to work on myself as a person and consistently set goals. I enjoyed these sessions with Stephen, and I'm sure they helped me see things in a different light. It's worth noting that I went on to win my first ever major live tournament, the 2014 World Poker Tour LA Poker Classic, just 2 weeks after my first meeting with Stephen, and topped a field of 534 players to pocket $1,015,000. I've always been an extremely competitive person, which is key to being a professional poker player, but it can also be a hindrance in this game. At times you want to win too much, which forces you into making mistakes. This happened to me in 2014 at the WSOP in Vegas. I felt like I'd never been more ready to take home one of those shiny bracelets. Unfortunately, this approach completely backfired because I'd been trying too hard to win the tournament on day one. I was a big chip leader in the LAPC main event with 4 people left, and felt so close to winning the title that in between hands I was already thinking about what to say in the winner's interview. That all changed quickly though, because I became complacent, which led me to making a few mistakes in huge hands. On top of this, I didn't allow my mind to let those mistakes go, and I even ended up misreading my hand in a key spot. Fortunately, I went on break at the right time, remembered the important things Stephen had taught me, and just did a little mental reset. After the break, and with nothing left to lose, I was able to make a comeback and show that no matter how bad your situation at the poker table is, you should never give up. I can recommend you read this book, that's the book Poker Genius, from cover to cover. It not only explains in simple terms what you need to do to find the zone, but also, and more importantly, how to make your own luck. It's crammed with practical tips to take you there too. You'll not need to use all of Stephen's tips, so just choose what feels right for you. Trust your own experience, which you've gained over thousands of hours of working on your game. You deserve your reward. Perhaps we'll meet one day on the final table. I certainly hope so. Well, Chris was very kind to write that for me. In fact, kindness is his hallmark. He's despite being the world champion, he's a very humble and grounded person and puts an awful lot into the game, in his own game, but also with others. He sees himself as an ambassador for the sport that he loves. So he's very free and generous with the help that he gives to other players. So that's the end of episode 1. I hope that as this series develops, it will develop a life of its own. And whilst there's some stuff that I want to share with you about how we can learn to control our mind, particularly when everybody else is losing theirs, when the heat's on, I'd also like it to be interactive. So I would welcome your feedback at all times, and your questions and your comments. And indeed, I'd like to be able to talk on the show about some of those, either with your name anonymized or with your real name. I don't mind one way or the other. Because it's from learning, it's from sharing stuff that we get better. If you want one sort of kind of secret of life to leave you with, is that if you want to be good at anything, I'm not just talking of poker, but anything, then find out somebody who is and really study them. We call it role modeling. Try to literally get underneath their skin and see what makes this person tick. You may not like that person, but you will end up gaining insights into the strategies that they use that brings them their success. So there we are. We finished the first episode. I'm very much looking forward to getting stuck into the good stuff in the next one. There'll be a new show published every week. So thanks for listening to this one, and I hope you stay for the rest of the journey. In the meantime, good luck on the tables. Don't forget to breathe, particularly when the stakes are rising high. Keep on breathing. It's funny, but when people are stressed for some reason, they do stop breathing, or they certainly don't breathe enough. We all need that oxygen. See you next week, same time. Goodbye for now.
Like, follow, subscribe. It's free. Leave a rating on Spotify or a review on Apple Podcasts. For more, go to Dr. with a DR, Stephen with a PH Simpson.com. drstephensimpson.com.